welcome back. Today we have something very unusual. I have a playlist. It's called Deconstructing and Decoding Fashion Magazine Photos, and it's a separate, segregated playlist because it's quite rare that an advertiser in these magazines, or the advertising agency it's contracted to do its advertising, rarely will they bury a lot of hidden meaning in the ads, right? They're pretty straightforward, like a perfume bottle is a perfume bottle, and a pair of jeans is a pair of jeans, and so forth and so on. But sometimes, once in a great while, they really bury a lot of hidden meaning in these photos. And today we've hit the absolute jackpot. Okay, so what happened is a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago, I was reviewing a magazine and it had this same image in it. And I made the observation that loosely, right, if you look at this, right, this could be very much a Leni Riefenstahl. It has all the elements of a Riefenstahl. The crane, you could tell, like if a crane, they rented a crane and the bucket was very high, a person standing in the bucket, it would be Riefenstahl, right? This person is a stand-in for Hitler. And you have this, right, because the Thousand-Year Reign, Thousand-Year Reich, the Nazis love stone. They absolutely love stone because of what? The enduring quality of stone. And it was the same with the Third Reich, okay? It's going to last forever. That's why stone was important to Riefenstahl and Hitler. Okay, so all of these put together, I thought, okay, it's very loose, right? I'm really kind of on thin ice by one photograph. I can see the association, but I knew I was on thin ice. But now there's, in this particular magazine, this is Elle, January 2020, and there's another image behind this one, and it absolutely confirmed my suspicions that this is really kind of some Nazi theme going on here in this photography, in this art direction. And I'm really kind of surprised because Cartier is a French company, right? And obviously the Nazis invaded France, so they surely wouldn't be allied with them in any way on the surface. But my point is, we're going to go through this extensively, but you're going to see, I'm going to lay this out for you, and I hope you can see the deep Nazi messaging in these two photos. Okay, so let's start. What this is here, again, this is a Riefenstahl, and this model would be kind of a stand-in for Hitler or some type of right. So here we have, this would be the 1934 Nazi rally. It was held in Nuremberg at the Luitpold Arena, right? And translated, it's the Luitpold Arena, okay? And out of this 1934 rally came one of Riefenstahl's films, Triumph des Wein, which really translates to Triumph of Will. Okay, so again, this is 34 in the Nazi rally. So let me set up Luitpold Arena so you can kind of get a feeling for where I'm going with this. Okay, because if I put it together, okay, so here we have. This is called the Tribune, right? It was a tiered seating area. Okay, and it had like a crescent shape here, and this was called a Rednerkanzel. Rednerkanzel is a kind of a pulpit, but it's elevated and it sticks out kind of like a jetty, but instead of water, it's a platform that hangs in air. Hitler loved these. He had one built in the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, and he also had one at Zeppelin Field, just a little distance from this area. Zeppelin Field, he had another one of these. But we'll just consider it an elevated pulpit, okay? So again, these are they get higher as you go backward, right? It's like a tiered thing. And this is the stone walkway, which is here. This is the stone walkway, and this is the grassy field. I have little green tick marks in there. It's kind of simulating grass. But this is where all the soldiers would stand, okay, for his large formations, right, in the Nazi party. And you had this in here too, which, now check this out. This is kind of a crude drawing I did, right? But these are the banners that they carried. It would be the eagle, and the talons are gripping this wreath of gold. In the wreath is a swastika. Down here would be the placard of where they came from, right? Just like we have in the United States, you have a convention, right? And you'll see big placards or signs that read Illinois or California or whatever. And then this was the banner, and it had on here Deutschland Erwache, which meant Germany awake, right? So you had these all over here, all over this area, okay, on the periphery and in this tribune. You had many of these, again, because it was, right, wherever the contingent came from, they had a multitude of their own banners, okay? So here's how it's laid out, where I'm going with this. I'm trying to recreate Luitpold Arena so you can kind of get a grasp for this. Okay, so here's what we have going on, okay? So this is that pulpit, right? So Hitler would basically make the speech, dismount the pulpit, come down, and he walked this walkway, right? And Riefenstahl has that in her film, A Triumph of the Will. Okay, he's walking this, and here's what's cool. Here's why this works. Okay, and I love the way they put this model so far in the lower left of the frame, because in reality, Hitler, he had Heinrich Himmler of the SS a couple paces behind and to his right, and he had Victor Lutze of the SA a couple paces behind and to his left. So there were three. There were Hitler, Himmler, and Lutze. Okay, so the reason why this is so cool, by putting this model so far down left of frame and in the corner, right? It's ambiguous, right? It's ambiguous. It leaves the question open. Would Lutze and Himmler be there? Because here's what happens. If they put this model too far up in the middle of the frame, then it's clear there's nothing to the imagination. Lutze and Himmler are not there. Okay, it's not Hitler because Lutze and Himmler aren't with him. By putting her so far down, now it begs the question, are they really there but just out of frame? Okay, so here we have the purpose of this, the rally. This is like an aerial view of Ehrenhalle, which is their Hall of Honor. This was actually built in the wake of World War I to honor the dead from World War I from the Nuremberg area, right? But the thing is, Hitler, right, it had kind of a double meaning for Hitler. Not only was he really there to honor the fallen of World War I, he was really there to honor those killed in the putsch, his comrades that were killed in the putsch. So the Ehrenhalle took on a double meaning, right? It was a war memorial for those killed in World War I, but also his pals killed in the putsch. So if you put this all together, Hitler stood right here on this first stone, right at the very edge. Hitler stood here, Himmler a couple paces behind and to his right, and then Lutze a couple paces behind and to his left. So this is where they stood. So you can see in totality here how this is all shaping up. So again, this is Riefenstahl and Hitler, 1934 rally in Nuremberg, and out of this came Triumph of the Will. Now let's go on to the next image, and we'll see how this is a complete confirmation, at least to me. Again, we're totally open for disagreement. If you're not seeing what I'm seeing, totally cool with that. I'm totally on board with it. But in here, I think I showed you this. Look at the, right? Look at the gold, right? This is the Panther. This is the Cartier Panther, okay? Right, and you can see the gold here, the gold in the wreath, and the red and white. So even the colors they're using with this, right, it's heavily, right, look at this, all right? I mean, it's so obvious, right, because I'm really not reaching. I'm trying to be as objective as I can. But let's go on now. Let's go on to the second photo and examine the second photo. Okay, and welcome back. So now this is the second photo. And when I was looking at the whatever magazine it was a month or two ago, when Cartier ran this ad, they only ran this photo. And now they're running it, right, with this, right? It's a foldable ad. Okay, but my point is, if you look at this, what we have here, and I'll explain it. This is the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin. The name of the stadium is the Olympiastadion, which basically, again, it translates to Olympia Stadium. And Riefenstahl's work that came out of this was Olympia in two parts, the film Olympia, Festival of Nations, and part two was Festival of Beauty. Okay, so let's cover this, because this is really, really kind of important. In the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, there's a notch in the stadium, and it's on the western end of the stadium. And that's this Cartier is what they're trying to show here, is this is the western end of the stadium, okay? And on the east, if you go through the stadium and out the east exit, there are two towers there, okay? And they're why that's important is on those two towers there were a swastika, and you'll find the 5 rings, the 5 Olympic rings, and they were suspended between the two towers. They were suspended by either a cable or a chain. So we're seeing this, and they even had these vertical slats. They even had those vertical slats in them. So the resemblance here is just absolutely overwhelming. Not only is this Marathon Gate, the western gate of Olympic Stadium, we're getting these towers. Okay, and what this advertiser here, what Cartier, not necessarily Cartier, because they could have been duped by whoever did this for them, right? And I'm sure that's the case. But what they want the viewer to see is 2 swastikas and those 5 Olympic rings suspended by the cable. Okay. Now the way this was laid out in reality, okay, this is the Western Gate. You enter the Western Gate, and this would have been the Olympic cauldron. Okay, the cauldron where they lit the flame. So this wristwatch, so what's even more supportive, if this face of the wristwatch would almost actually be occupying the space where the cauldron is at rest inside the stadium. So this would be this is kind of acting again, this is a proxy for the Olympic cauldron. Now in reality, so here's what's not making kind of a little bit of sense in this image. In reality, a runner named Fritz, what was his name? Fritz Schilgen. Fritz Schilgen came in through the east. He ran around this part of the track, the southern part of the track, past Hitler. Hitler was in his VIP area. Okay, he ran past, and there's some stairs here, and they descend down to the playing field. So Fritz Schilgen came up the steps, and he lit the cauldron. Okay, so what doesn't make sense here is if we're supposed to believe this person is en route to light the cauldron, this is not how it was lit in reality. Again, the runner came in from the east, up these stairs, and lit the cauldron this way. So it almost makes the reader, or the viewer rather, believe that if this is Hitler, right, they're leading us to believe that Hitler approached the cauldron from this angle, and Hitler lit the cauldron, but that's not how it really shook out in reality. So that's where I'm kind of confused in this imagery, because this is definitely Hitler leaving the Tribune en route to the Ehrenhalle. But here, so this is historically correct, but this would be historically incorrect. So that's why I'm having trouble with this one particular image, right? It's just, again, they have some artistic license in how they do this. But look at even the color. Again, the red is the color of the Nazi Party, right? This is kind of regal. Look at her posture. Her posture is perfectly erect, as if she's very sure of herself, right? There's no hesitation, right? I mean, it's really quite a brave stride. The way she's walking, it's indicative of bravery and sureness, right? She's very sure of herself. So again, this is why I'm pulling back this. In the stone, again, we're getting back to stone, right? It's the material of the 1,000-year reign. Wood does not last 1,000 years. Even concrete doesn't last 1,000 years. But stone, natural stone, lasts 1,000 years. So it's just kind of cool that with all this heavy Nazi imagery, again, this is 34 Nuremberg, 36 Berlin at the Olympic Stadium, and it's just wonderful. So the two takeaways from this video, it's actually Hitler. We talked about Hitler, but it's Riefenstahl. So my point is, and I know I'm trying to bring this home, whoever came up with this ad campaign was trying to pay tribute or an homage to Leni Riefenstahl. This is all Riefenstahl. This angle, the way this is photographed and the use of the stone, this is a Riefenstahl angle. Come over here, and we have the grandeur of the stone. And again, this is the Marathon Gate entrance of Olympic Stadium. The camera is way back, and we're getting this sense of grandeur, right? The massive scale, 1,000-year reign with the stone, the sureness of this person walking toward the Olympic cauldron. This is all Leni Riefenstahl, and this one is again Olympia, the film Olympia. So I just thought that was so cool. But here's what I don't understand is, you have students of history, right? The people at Cartier, We talked about approval authority, right? Anytime an ad agency does an ad campaign for a company, I don't care who it is. Okay, you bring the final product to your client, right? So in this case, it would be Cartier. And it seems there should be some signatures in place. Okay, before this runs, before this is approved, certain people have to sign off that, yeah, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want to go with. So my point is, who at Cartier, how many signatures there were, I don't know. It could have been 2 signatures before it went to print. It could have been 4 signatures. Whatever the case may be, it's just perplexing to me how somebody couldn't see this heavy pro-Nazi imagery. This Leni Riefenstahl and Hitler are all over this. So my point is, somebody at Cartier should have seen this and said, hey, where are you going with this, man? Are you trying to bury us? Are you trying to ruin us by... Right now, there's going to be claims that we're running this pro-Nazi imagery. So again, it's just I'm dumbfounded that nobody at Cartier caught this and just immediately just put this to bed right away. And again, look at this. As I've said before, okay. I mean, you can't get much closer than that. Look at the color. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere in here, and it's just amazing to me. Okay, so there we have it. Leni Riefenstahl. Pro-Nazi imagery for Cartier. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. If you did not, by all means, give me a thumbs down. And let me know, please, in the comments. What's your take? Do you see the Nazi imagery there? Do you see Nuremberg in Berlin? And if not, I'm totally cool with it. Just let me know whatever's on your mind. Thank you.